Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today my name is Usetale. In this channel I share tutorial videos on how to cut and sew, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful flare shirt dress. It has pockets at the two sides, it is buttoned down with a bishop collar. I'll be sharing with you details step by step on how to sew the bishop collar, the pocket and everything. So without wasting any time, let's go straight to the tutorial video. For the making of that beautiful dress you just saw, I'm going to be making use of this navy blue cotton fabric. So this is 100% cotton fabric. You can also use a crepe fabric for the making of the dress, and you will be needing about 2.5 to 3 yards depending on your size. So right now I'm just going to mark the wrong face of my fabric. And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to be folding my fabric together into two in a triangular form. Can you see what I just did? Now you are going to turn your fabric to make sure that the open part here is facing you. So just go ahead and arrange it up the way you see me doing. Then you will fold it up just like this. So this is going to be for the button flap. You can see about 2 inches folding. After you are done folding, just go ahead and pin it with your pins. Now after doing that, it's time to take our body measurement. At the top here, you're going to take your shoulder measurement. So I'm just going to rule a straight line here like this. Now I'm going to take my shoulder measurements divided by 2. I'll be adding ½ inch for sewing allowance. Now I will come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Before we proceed, I'm actually supposed to mark ½ inch here, which is going to be for the button flap. You know, button will normally stay on top of each other, so this ½ inch is going to give room for that. So just mark it, then rule a straight line. Now all our measurement is supposed to start from this ½ inch line. So you will take your shoulder measurement divided by 2 again. Now I'll be adding ½ inch for sewing allowance. Now this straight line, that bold line, is what we'll make use of. So here I took my neck width of 3 inches, then I went ahead to connect the shoulder slope. Now to get your armhole depth, you're going to divide your round bust measurement by 6, then you add 1.5, and whenever I do that I have 7.5. So I just marked it, then I'm going to go ahead and connect it out like this. So this line now I'm going to divide it into 2 to get the midpoint. So from that mark I'll come in by ½ inch, then I'm going to take my round bust measurement divided by 4 here. So my initial round bust measurement divided by 4 is 9. Because we are sewing a free dress, I marked 9.5, so extra ½ inch to make it freer. Okay, so just go ahead and connect your armhole. After you are done doing that, it's time to get the bust line. So my bust line is 10 inches. I'm just going to go ahead to rule it out. Then I will extend the chest line just like this. You are going to label the lines. So here is the chest line, then this is the bust line. The next thing you want to do now is to draw it out like that. So here I already have my bust measurements divided by 4 plus extra ½ inch. I'll just add extra 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. So I'm just going to draw it out like that. I'm using my curve ruler to do this. So this is actually the hip curve. I'm using it to try and draw it out. You can do this with your free hand. So can you see what I did? So after you are done doing that now, the next thing is to take the length of the dress. So place your tape on the shoulder line. You're going to measure the full length of your dress. So the length I'm making use of is 38 inches. I will add extra 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Okay. So I marked 39.5. So now you will measure what you have from the chest line here to the full length, and what I have is 31.5. I'm going to minus 3 inches from it. It will give me 28.5. So at this side here, from the chest line, I'm going to measure 28.5. So after you are done measuring, you're just going to connect it. So the camera wasn't really, capturing what I was doing, but if you follow the explanation I'm giving, you'll be able to understand. So I'm just connecting it from the side all the way to meet this mark, just like this. Can you see, guys? So this is what you're going to have. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to come to the top here, to get the neckline. So we already have the neck width, which is 3 inches. And for the neck depth, I'll come down by 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a round neckline. After doing that, this is all for the drafting of the front piece. I'm going to go ahead now to cut it out. You are going to give it 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the shoulder, just like this. Then from here, you're going to cut along the lines because we have already given sewing allowance to all these other sides. So after you are done cutting it out, this is what you're going to have. I'm going to place this on another pattern paper now for the cutting of the back. For the cutting of the back, I've already gone ahead to fold my fabric together into two just like this. But this time around, the folded edge is the one that is facing me because this is the back and the back is not supposed to have joining at the center back, okay? So now I'm going to place the front piece on it. Make sure that the back piece is starting from that straight line. So that 1/2 inch straight line that we drew, that is where the back piece is going to start from. Then you pin it down. Can you see? So the back piece is starting from that line. Now you're just going to go ahead and trace out exactly what you have to your fabric. So after you are done cutting, that is it. Now for the neckline of the back, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. So just come down by 1 inch, then create a small round neckline. So you're going to go ahead to cut it out. You're also going to give the neckline 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. Now you will cut the front neckline alone. So this is it for the cutting of both the front and the back pieces. So just make notches there and here. So this is it, guys. We are done cutting out the bodies. So we have the back piece, mark it. Then this other one is the front piece. So I'll place them aside. Now it's time to cut the sleeve, and this is the piece of fabric I'm going to be using for the cutting of the sleeve. You're going to fold it together into two. Then you fold it together again, making 4 folds for the cutting of the two sleeves. So what I folded together is about 9 inches wide, you can see, and it is folded into 4. Now for the sleeve, the length of the sleeve, you can see I came down by 1/2 inch. So the length of the sleeve is 8 inches. I'm going to be adding extra 2 inches for the hem allowance. So what I have in total, I will measure the same thing here. Then go ahead and rule a straight line. Now for the sleeve cap, I'll come down by 4.5 or 5 inches. So I made use of 4.5 inches. So you're just going to connect it like this, the way you see me doing. After you are done doing that, you're going to take your armhole measurement divided by 2. My armhole is 17. Divided by 2 is 8.5. I'm going to mark it. I will add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Then here you come down by about 6 inches. You will take your round upper arm measurement divided by 2. Also add the allowance. Here you take your round lower arm measurement divided by 2 plus the allowance. So after you're done doing that, you're going to connect just like this. Then you cut it out. So after cutting, you make a notch at the top there and also here. So open it up and mark the wrong face. So this is it for the cutting of the sleeve. Now it's time to sew, and I'm going to start with the bodies. I'm going to take the front pieces to my sewing machine, and I'm going to be sewing the button area. So these 2 inches that we folded out, you're going to be sewing it. So what you will do is take it to your sewing machine, you fold it 2 times. Fold it 2 times, then you're going to sew it all the way down. Sew it all the way down. You do the same thing here. Fold it 2 times, double fold, then you sew it down. So after sewing, this is what you're going to have it looking like. Can you see? Now the next thing we are going to do is to join the shoulders. So you're going to place the shoulder of the front together with that of the back. You join it, you do the same thing here. Now after joining the shoulders, you're going to measure the neck. You're going to measure what you have. Measure it round like this. So what I have is 17 inches. I'm going to be using it to draft out the bishop collar. So for the drafting of the collar, I'm going to divide 17 into 2. It will give me 8.5. So on my pattern paper, I will measure 8.5 and I will mark it. Then I will use a straight ruler to rule a straight line. Now, after that, you're going to divide these 8.5 inches into 2 to get half of it. So just mark it. Now here, you will go up by 1.5 inches. So you're going to be using your curve ruler to connect to meet that point. After you are done doing that, now you're going to take the height of the collar. I'm going to be making use of 1.5 inches. So just mark 1.5 inches all the way to the other end. Can you see what I'm doing? After you are done doing that, you're going to connect with your ruler as well. So guys, this is it. Now at the top area here, you're going to go in by 1/2 inch. Then you're just going to make a curve. So you're just going to curve it out the way you see me doing. So after doing that, that is all for the drafting of the collar. Go ahead to cut it out. Now I'm going to be using this to cut on my fabric, but before I cut, I'm going to iron paper gum to my fabric to make it thick. So I'm done ironing the paper gum to my fabric, so I just place the pattern on it and I'm using it to cut it out. You're going to cut 2 pieces. So after cutting, you're going to remove the pins, so just make a notch there. Mind you, I cut it on fold. Okay, you can see I cut it on fold. Now you place it together like this. You're going to take it to your sewing machine to sew it down. Here you're going to leave 1/2 inch. You also leave 1/2 inch here. So this is what you're going to have after sewing. You can see the 1/2 inch that I left. Now you're going to fold it to the right side. So flip it out to the right side. You will iron it out very well. After ironing, this is what I have. Now it's time to sew it to the neck. You're going to place the notch together with the notch of your fabric. Then you go ahead and pin it down. So pin it all the way to the end. So now you're going to take it to your sewing machine. You're going to sew it. So here you also pin it down, then you sew. After I was done sewing, I made cuts. Can you see I made little cuts on it because it's a curve. So this cut is going to make it straight. Now the other side of the collar, you're going to fold it on it, making sure that it is covering the sewing that you made. Then you pin it down. So fold it on it like this. Make sure it covers the sewing, pin it down. Then you do it all the way to the other end. So guys, after you are done pinning it down, you will flip it to the right side. Then you take it to your sewing machine to sew. At the top here, you also top stitch. So this is what I had after I was done sewing the collar on it. So I went ahead to place my fabric together. Now I'm just going to pin it down. So I just pin down the button area so that it will be easy to work with my fabric. So now you will notice that the shoulder area here, if you place the shoulder together where you join it like this, the neck will be looking funny. Okay, so what you are going to do is to bring the shoulder down by about 1 inch. So you bring down the shoulder so that the bishop collar can stand straight. Can you see it came down by about 1 inch? So with that, your collar and your neck is going to be straight. Can you see how mine is looking? But at the end of the day, you will have excess at the armhole and also at the side. So you are going to be trimming it out. So first of all, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. So what I have is exactly what I need. So I'm not going to be touching the shoulder that much. So what I'm going to do now is I will follow the front piece to retrace the armhole. So do the same thing here. Follow the armhole of the front piece to retrace the armhole of the back. By doing this, you will notice that the armhole is going to be deeper than what we initially cut out, but at the end of the day, it's going to be around what you actually need. So I'm just pinning it down so that it doesn't move. Now here, I will measure to be sure I still have my bust measurement divided by 2 plus extra inches for sewing allowance. You can see I still have a whole lot of sewing allowance. Now the excesses at the side here, I'm just going to trim it out as well. After cutting, this is what you're going to have. Now I'm going to measure the armhole to be sure it's not too bigger than what I need. After measuring, it was a little bit bigger, but it was still okay. After measuring your own and you realize that your armhole is too deep, all you need to do is to slope your shoulder again by ½ inch, rejoin it, and by doing that, it will reduce the depth of the armhole. Now I'm going to bring the sleeves. I've already hemmed the end of the sleeve off camera, as you can see. Now it's time to sew it to our body. So this notch you are seeing here is the new shoulder. You're going to place the notch on your sleeve together with that notch. Then you sew it all the way down. After doing that, you sew the other sleeve to this other side, just like this. So this is what I had after I was done sewing the sleeves. Now it's time to join. And before we join it down, I'm going to be adding pockets at the two sides. So I already went ahead to cut out the pocket. I have 4 pieces. So what I have here is about 12 inches long and it is 6.5 inches wide. So I just cut it out, then I curve here like this. Now to mark out the pocket opening is 6.5 plus extra 1 inch. I'm going to come down here by 7.5 inches, then I mark it. I'm going to be making a little cut by about ½ inch. So now you're just going to curve it out. I like to curve my pocket this way these days. So you can see how I just use my chalk, then go ahead and trim it out. So this is what you're going to have. Now it's time to sew the pocket to our fabric. So I placed the sides together and from the armhole I came down by 9 inches. Then I marked it. You're going to make a notch. Now from that notch, you will measure your pocket opening, which is 6.5 inches. Mark it as well. Now you're going to open up your fabric just like this. You're going to take one pocket. So first of all, mark out the wrong face. You take one pocket, you place it on your fabric, the right side facing each other. You're going to sew it down. Then here, you also place it on it. Then you sew from one notch to the other notch. You're going to do the same thing to this other side. After sewing the pockets, this is what you are going to have. It's time to join it together. So you make a mark here. From that mark, you're going to come down by 6.5 inches. You make another mark. Now, this part, we are not going to sew. So you sew like this, then you sew all the way down. You're going to do the same thing here. Sew like this, then you leave space for the pocket opening. So after I was done joining the sides, this is what I had. I also sewed the pockets together. Then I did the same thing here. I joined the side, I left opening, then I sewed the pocket together. And I also hemmed the end of the dress. So I've gone ahead to hem it. Now I'm going to flip it to the right side. The next thing we are going to do now is to mark out the buttonhole. The first buttonhole is going to be on the collar. So from that mark, you're going to come down by 4 inches. You mark another one. Now you measure down 4 inches again. You mark. So you're just going to keep measuring 4 inches, then you mark all the way to the end. So I'm done marking and I have a total of about 8 buttonholes. I'm just going to go ahead now to sew the buttonhole to it. Then I will fix my buttons to it. So this is what I had after I was done sewing the buttonholes, and I've also gone ahead to sew my button to the dress. So here we have the pocket. So guys, this is it for the making of this beautiful flare button down dress. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share.